And all of a sudden the doorbell rings. I go downstairs, and the guy says to me, he says, you got to come to my apartment. You got to come to my apartment. I said, well, what's going on? I said, well, he says, they sent me next door. From next door, they sent me here. You got to come to my apartment. I said, what's going on? He said, my friend Snake has gone crazy. I said, your friend Snake is going crazy. I said, well, what kind of nonsense is that? So we get into the truck. We get in. We drive over. It's not far. It's on 4th Avenue, maybe 70th Street or something like that. We go into the building. I open the door, and it looks like there's been a homicide. There's blood on the walls. There's blood on the ceiling. There's blood on the furniture. And there's a guy in the corner. He's tucked in the corner with a steak knife, and there's a Burmese python up on its back like this, and it's trying to get him. And he's hacking at the snake. And each time he hacks at the snake, a little bit more blood spurts around. Ooh. And he hacks at the snake and a little bit. But this snake wants this guy. All right, we don't know why, but this snake wants this guy. So now Kenny Richardson and his partner's with me. Kenny's partner. He's going to be angry with me. But anyway, so we got the dog noose, and they grab one hand. Kenny grabs the head, and Chris grabs the tail, and the snake is 15 feet long. The snake is as long as a car. They both got the end, and all of a sudden, the snake like contracts its body and pulls them both together. With him contracting his body, now he starts to wrap himself around Chris's leg. I said, this has got to stop. So I said to the guy, I said, look, I said, we got to do something about this. So the guy says, do what you got to do. So I take an axe, and I take the snake's head off.
As you do.
So I said to the guy, I says, how did this happen? I says, how did this happen? He says, well, he says, I went to the pet store. He says, and I buy a rabbit to feed to the animal. He says, I put my arm in the cage with the animal, with the snake. He says, and I hold the rabbit in the other hand. The snake now travels up my arm, around my neck, and it eats the animal. It eats the rabbit. So I says, you do that all the time? He says, yeah. He says, but I think what happened this time, he says, when I went to the pet store, I leaned on the cage, and I must have had a smell on me. He said, because when the snake came up my arm, it stopped right at my face. It looked at me. He said, then it bit me in the face. He said, it went into my face and got me. He says, after that, it was on. He said, the snake was practically chasing me around the apartment.
Jeez.
So I'm telling you that once we killed the snake, we then had to go and we got 2 garbage pails. It took 2 garbage pails to put this snake in.